Good evening. How are we all? I thank you ever so much for coming along this evening. It's yet another Macular Society, Macular and Me webinar. They've just become part of our lives now, haven't they? Once a month, we all get together and talk about different eye conditions or macular conditions or things related to that, which is what we're doing tonight. So we're stepping a bit away this evening from the usual sort of from eye conditions and research and sort of having a little bit of technology and stuff. I'll introduce you to our speaker very shortly, but just before we start, we'll start with our usual housekeeping stuff. So as you can see, this is a full webinar package. So you are muted, so you can't share your screen or anything like that, so don't worry too much. But we do really encourage you to talk to the speaker and to me, even if it's just to tell me to be quiet, on the chat function. So all the way through this evening's session, the chat function will be working. So you can put your questions into there. I'm sure you'll have plenty. The more questions you can ask, the more interactive and more fun the session can be. I know that we're gonna learn a lot this evening from Alex from AbilityNet. So we'll get there. We'll get to that point. So anyway, the other thing to need to know is this session is being recorded. So if you need to put the cat out or rush off and make yourself a cup of coffee and think you've missed something, then you can always watch it back. It will be online in a week or so on our YouTube channel and our website, which along with all the other Macular and Me sessions, both from this stream for sort of working age people and sort of conditions specific webinars, and also the age-related macular degeneration stream run by various different people, mainly Kathy Yelf, who's our CEO, as you know. So that's sort of the housekeeping done. Welcome to my humble abode. We're at home this evening. As usual, Jess, my PA, has stalked me home to help me out tonight. So if you hear a disembodied voice in the background, that'll be Jess. She'll be keeping an eye on the chat, so don't worry too much if you think I've missed your question, because as you know, may know, I'm actually blind myself, so can't see the chat box, but my screen reader will read it out. I try and leave all the keys alone so my screen reader doesn't do much talking, which is why Jess is around anyway. So hi Jess, so welcome this evening. And finally, without further ado, we are joined this evening by Alex Barker from AbilityNet. Good evening, Alex.
Hi Colin, thank you for that wonderful welcome. Good evening everybody. So my name's Alex Barker and I am a disability consultant for AbilityNet, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through our presentation. Now, first of all, if you've not heard about AbilityNet, don't worry, because although we're a national organisation, not many people have heard of us. So who are we? And that's the question I ask myself at the time. Who are we? So at AbilityNet, we support people of any age living with any disability or impairment to use technology to achieve their goals at home, at work, and in education. And we do this by providing specialist advice services, free information resources, and we want to help to build a more accessible digital world. So we don't really want much, do we? So first of all, the good thing is that we have lots of free resources. So we have 300 volunteers, and they can come and solve IT issues either remotely or face-to-face. All are DBS checked. We have fact sheets, we have webinars, and we also have how to do certain functions guides, and they're all available on our website, which is abilitynet.org.uk. We work with charities and larger companies to provide digitally excluded people technology via our Connecting You scheme. And we've also got lots of really interesting news and blogs on our website. So the first thing I do when I do these presentations is tell people a little bit about me, and you'll see why when I go through this. So I worked for AbilityNet for 20 years in 2 periods. When I started, I didn't have any grey hair, and I have quite a lot of grey hair now. But I also have a rare condition called Meager syndrome. Only 500 people in the world have it, and it means that I've got a paralysed face. I cannot show any emotion, although I laugh and cry like everyone else. I also have sight issues. My eyes do not have much movement in them whatsoever. Oh, and I don't have all my fingers, and I certainly don't have all my toes. I only have 2 fingers on each hand. And you know what? Without technology, I have no idea what I would be doing. I wouldn't have a job, wouldn't have gone to college or university, and I certainly wouldn't have studied abroad. I studied abroad in the States and in Sweden. Like all good things, I met my wife on Facebook. She's also got the same rare condition as me, and we've been married 4 years. She was living in North Carolina, and she swapped North Carolina to come and live in Coventry. And you know what? I know what it's like to struggle to use technology to get my work done, and I can relate to clients. So first of all, we're just going to try and get a definition of what is assistive technology. Don't worry, I'm not going to be asking you at the end if you can remember what this quote was, so don't worry about taking notes. But the phrase assistive technology is often used to describe products or systems that support and assist individuals with disability, restricted mobility, or other impairments to perform functions that might otherwise be difficult or impossible. And that is a quote from the UK government some time ago. But you know what? Not all assistive technology is computer based. So I've got 4 pictures on my screen now, and I will describe them. So the first one is a pencil with some multicolored pen grips. When I was starting to learn how to write in 1976, so back in the 70s, my teachers could see that I was having trouble writing, and they wanted to make it a bit easier, so they found a rubber grip for a pencil. The next image is of a device called a Muggy, M-U-G-G-I. So when I work in an office, I did not want to be seen as that disabled person who doesn't make tea and coffee, because there used to be this communal tea and coffee making where you used to make 4 cups of coffee at a time for the people who sat around you. And I found a device at Nadex which meant I could put 4 cups of coffee in a box, and the box was designed so that they would stay still, and I could take my colleagues' cups of coffee or cups of tea. We've also got a couple of magnifiers. One is a sheet magnifier. One is the sort of magnifying glass that you might use just to look at things in the newspaper. And I just wanted to point them out because not all assistive technology is computer based. Now, one of the things that people ask me when they first meet me is assistive technology is expensive, isn't it? And I have to go, you know what? It's not expensive, or some of it is not expensive. Some of it is totally free of charge. And you know, at AbilityNet, we like things that are free of charge. So On our website, we've got a section which is called My Computer, My Way. And it does what it says on the tin. It helps you to customize your smartphone or your Windows 10 computer or your MacBook or anything else you care to mention in terms of technology to your particular requirements. Everyone knows that when a device comes out of the factory, it's built for a standard person. We are not standard people. Everyone has got their own preferences, own likes, our own dislikes, the way that we have technology set up, and My Computer, My Way can help you. Let me give you some examples of what it can do. So, if you are lucky enough to have a Mac computer, you might be saying, okay, I could use the computer before I had a macular degeneration. Now my eyesight's got a bit worse. I don't know what to do. I want to make the text bigger on a Mac. Well, if you follow these step-by-step instructions, within 5 or 10 minutes, you can make your text bigger on a Mac. If you've got an iPhone, you might be saying to me, I can use it, but I find it really, really difficult. One of the things that I'd love to do is to magnify the screen on an iPhone. Again, we've got step-by-step instructions, and it will you can magnify the screen on your iPhone. The latest operating system is iOS 16, but if you've got iOS 12 or iOS 10, the information on our website is backdated. Ironically, we've still got information on a Windows 7, because you wouldn't believe it, but people still have Windows 7 computers. Talking of Windows, well, that was quite a good link. Well, you can easily change the color within Windows, because sometimes you might want yellow text on a black background or black text on a sorry, it's not going to work if you have black text on a black background, is it? Let's see, yellow text on a black background or black text on a yellow background. You can change the colors to your own preferences. If you've got an Android device, now lots of people have Android devices, they want to know how to magnify the screen. Again, the information is there for you. And if you want to be able to turn VoiceOver on iOS devices, you can follow our step-by-step information and you'll be able to get that. Now, there are two ways of doing it. There is a short guide. So a short guide is for people that are quite advanced or know a bit about the way that the system preferences work or the control panel works. Or if you don't, if you're a novice, there are some step-by-step guides with graphics on them to tell you how to make changes. We've also got some really good resources in terms of fact sheets. So we've got fact sheets on all sorts of things, from using an alternative keyboard and mouse. We've got a fact sheet on magnifying the screen. We've got a fact sheet on screen readers. And we've also got a fact sheet on visual impairment if you just want a general overview. All of our fact sheets are free of charge. You can download them to your heart's content. You can share them to your heart's content. Just make sure you don't change any of the branding on them, please. Okay, so one of the things that we get asked is, what device is going to be suitable for me? So there are all sorts of ways that you can get around the computer. So there's lots of different pointing devices. There are lots of magnifier devices. So, for example, you might be at work and you might need to work with paperwork. We can point you towards magnifiers that can actually help you make your paperwork just a little bit easier to cope with. You might know other people who aren't in work but want to make their smartphone use a little bit easier, and so there are simplified smartphones designed for people with low vision. You might also know people who might want a multicolored keyboard at home just to make it a bit easier to see. And the picture on the right is of a large multicolored keyboard. There are many companies that offer equipment to trial out on a sale or return basis. My view is that if you're going to spend either £75 or £750 on a device, I would say that you really need to make it, you really need to take it for a test drive to see how it works. We would always want to point out that there is no best device. It's a bit like saying, is the best biscuit a custard cream, or is it a bourbon, or is it a Jaffa cake? It's a really tough call. For me, it's always been the board one, by the way. So let's talk about apps as well. So there are some really good apps. Some might be more appropriate to people of working age and younger people. Some might be more important for older people. But let's talk about them all. So on the left-hand side, we have Be My Eyes. Now, if you've not used Be My Eyes, it's a really nice piece of work. It's set up by a guy in Norway, and it works like this. I have we have a dog downstairs, and we have some dog food in the cupboard in a tin. We also have chili con carne in a tin. Now, we can see which tin is which. If you are visually impaired or have really low vision or are blind, you might not be able to see which tin's which. Now, I quite like chili con carne, but I don't want to eat dog food. But Be My Eyes can put me in touch with a nice volunteer who can tell me that the can I've got in my hand is actually dog food, so I don't really want to eat it unless there's nothing else worth eating in the house. So I know that I can identify which can is which. My colleague Chris and I went to an education show in London earlier this year, and a guy from Iran was able to tell us what can a soft drink we had in our hands. And I think to get that Be My Eyes support is a wonderful thing to have. They can help you with reading mail, although it might be confidential, and we're going to come on to things that are better for that in a while. They can if you want to put a particular colour shirt on a day, they can tell you what shirt colour is, and all sorts of things. Moving along to the image in the middle, it's KNFB Reader, and that package is really good if you're just wanting something simple and straightforward to have text read out to you. The app picture on the right hand side is called Seeing AI. Now, Seeing AI is really, really popular. It's a product made by Microsoft. If you don't know what it does, let me tell you. It utilizes the technology that you've got on your smartphone. So, for example, if you want to go out to a restaurant and have a meal, you can actually get Seeing AI to take a picture of the menu and to tell you what is on the menu tonight. If you are out somewhere and you want to be able to have a scene described to you, you can actually do that. If you're with people that you don't know and you want to get a better idea of who they are, you can always point your device at them, take a photo, and it will give an approximate age, and it will tell you what sex they are, and it will also tell you whether they are smiling or whether they are frowning. Now, it's artificial intelligence, so it doesn't always work. So for me, when someone takes a picture of me, it says I'm 55. I'm really upset. I don't look that old. I've just turned 50 this year. And it always causes hilarity at meetings when someone steps forward and they are a female. And if you're a female, you're very coy about giving your age away. Seeing AI always seems to put 10 years on someone's age. So actually, it's not perfect by any means. I am now going to demonstrate how Seeing AI works. So just give me a minute while I get Seeing AI working. Just okay. So I have got a I've got a TV in my study. So let me point it at the TV and see what happens. Okay, so it says it's a computer on a desk. Now, it can't tell the difference between a computer and a TV. So actually, it's got the right idea, but it hasn't got the right thing. But as I said, Seeing AI will get better. Now, I've got a document. I've got a document here, and I'm just gonna try and see if I can get it to read something. So just bear with me. Right. So this is a magazine. So I'm going to see what it says.
Ideal lateral, young. Lateral, ideal. Laverina.
Right. I think it works better on an actual document than it does on a magazine. But I've just heard it read out to me what is in the magazine. But let me see what it'll do when I've got a document in front of it. Let's just have a look here.
Matters. Don't lose it. Alexander Charles Barker 1 Molesworth Avenue.
Right.
Coventry.
So it got my name and it got my address. So if you have something that comes through the door and you're wanting to read it, but you want to read it independently, I would go for Seeing AI. Okay, so there are lots of pieces of software that could help you. We don't have time today to actually go through all of them, but here are a few things that I think might be worthwhile considering. The first one is Dragon Naturally Speaking. So if you've got some eyesight, but you find using the keyboard quite difficult, you actually might want to use Dragon Naturally Speaking to actually get text down to you. The app or the software on the right is called Zoom Text Fusion, and Zoom Text Fusion has been around for a while, and it's magnification and screen reading. So you could use Dragon and Zoom Text together. The software on the bottom right is called English Type, and it's a way of improving your touch typing. And the app, a screenshot of an app in the middle is Siri. Now, if you don't know what Siri is, you're in for a great surprise. Think of Siri as your virtual assistant. It won't go and make your coffee, but it'll be able to make appointments and tell you what your weather is, and it will also allow you to use your voice to send texts, WhatsApp messages, and make phone calls. So I'm just going to demonstrate. I'm sure that a lot of you are going to be able to use Siri or OK Google on Android phones, but just in case you're not, I will demonstrate. Send message to Erin Barker.
What do you want to say?
I love you and I will see you soon. I am sorry about the gas man.
Send it.
Yes.
Done.
So basically, about 10 minutes ago, someone knocked on the door and they wanted to read our gas meter. Okay, so moving on, I'm a big fan of smart technology. And I think smart technology can help so many people to do so many things. I'm sure you already utilize smart technology in your house, but just in case you don't, here is a whistle-stop tour. So, for example, the device on the top left-hand part of the screen is called an Amazon Echo Show. So I've got an Amazon, or in fact, we've got two Amazon Echoes in our house. And when we ask it a question, it will just give us an audio answer. So if you ask it what the weather is in Coventry today, it would probably say it's 17 degrees and I don't know, partly cloudy. However, if you are hearing impaired or you want to be able to read what's on the screen, you can do with an Amazon Echo Show. I think they're about 80 or £100. The picture going right is of a smart plug. Smart plugs are great because you can connect them to Alexa and you can plug anything in them which goes on or off. So, for example, if you have a bedside lamp, you can connect that to Alexa via a smart plug, and you could say, Alexa, turn bedside lamp on or off. There's also a smart door lock. So say for example, you want to have the ability to voice control your front door or your back door. You could just say, Alexa, unlock front door or back door. This is really useful if you are confined to bed. The device on the far right is a smartwatch. I think that's a Samsung smartwatch. Other smartwatches are available. Smartwatches are great because if you get a message or a notification, you can get it to appear on your smartwatch. If you are mindful of how many steps you take in a day, your smartwatch will do that. But also, it will do really cool things. So you can control your music from your smartwatch. And as I've discovered in the last week, if you want to take a photo, you can use your iPhone as a camera, but you can also use your Apple Watch as a monitor, and you can actually take photos from your Apple Watch, which I think is pretty cool. If you've got £300 and you don't know what to spend it on at the moment, you could buy a smart coffee maker. So you could actually set a schedule up in the morning, and you could say, right, you could get Alexa to wake you up at 7 o'clock, and by 7:30, your smart coffee maker could be making you a cup of strong Americano coffee, or it could be making you a cappuccino, or it could really be making you a herbal tea if that is your poison. The device next to the coffee maker on the right is a smart Hoover. So if you don't like hoovering, and let's face it, not many people do like hoovering, you can get a smart Hoover to do the hoovering for you. It just wanders around your house, and when it bangs into something or hits something, it will do 180 turn or 180 degree turn, and it will go off and it will do go in another direction. If you are really keen on your smart technology and want to have lights that change color, you can have smart light bulbs. Now you do need to connect them up to a hub, which then connects to your Wi-Fi and Alexa. But if you desire your house to be bathed in turquoise light or purple light, you could just ask Alexa to turn the lounge lights turquoise. Now, I've actually been to a location where they have got smart light bulbs, and I think they are quite neat, but I've asked my wife if we can have them, and she has said no. So my wife is the boss in our house, so we can't have them, unfortunately. And the last device we have on the right is a smart thermostat. So if you go out in the morning and it's really cold and it gets really warm, or vice versa, you don't want to leave your heating on all of the time. You just want to be able to actually change the heating from your smartphone or change the heating from your Alexa device. You can certainly do that. And my understanding is that it will save you a bit of money, which is always really useful, especially at this time. So let's talk about funding. If you are in work, of course, there's access to work, and Colin and I have had this discussion before, and Colin can point you previously, and Colin can point you towards how to make an access to work application. Access to work is really, really useful. When I was office based, I lived about 10 miles away from where my office was. Because my eyesight isn't that great, I can't drive, unfortunately. So I needed to have a decent way of getting from A to B, because public transport, it would have taken me about an hour and 10 minutes to get from my office to my house. And ironically, I can get to London in that time. But access to work paid for me to have a taxi, and they supported me with taxi fares for about nearly 20 years. But if you want funding for individual computer technology, we can point you towards our funding website, but we don't have the ability to fund and put the funding letter together. There is also benevolent funding available. So you'll be glad to know that we're nearly at the end. So things to take away from today's session. Assistive technology can be built into many different devices. It isn't always expensive. You can try before you buy. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. We have the experience through our disability consultant and volunteer-led services to help you and your clients out. I should also ask that if you work for a company that wants awareness training or further support, we do have lots of paid services that one of my colleagues would be only too pleased to talk to you about. So I work on free services. So our services are free, and it's free to call us, and we can help signpost people towards funding sources. Does anyone have any questions? If they do, I would have nothing better to try than to try and answer them.
Well, I don't think we've had any questions come through so far, Alex. So I mean, but we can have a wee chat. I can pick up a few things that you talked about.
We can certainly do that. Not problem at all.
Okay. So if you want, I mean, if you want to stop sharing your screen, we could.
Oh yeah.
Everyone can look at your face. Excellent. So there was a couple of things that you mentioned. I think Be My Eyes is a marvelous invention. It's an app available on both both Android and iOS. I mean, but yeah, as you so rightly say, you can ask these volunteers to talk about an awful lot of stuff, can't you? So I know people that use it in the gym to get the machines going. Why they would want to go to the gym when you could be drinking wine, I don't know, but that's a whole different story. So what's the most random thing you've heard someone use it for? Can you think of anything?
Pregnancy test.
Pregnancy test, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I've heard of a few of those. But actually, and it's funny you brought that up, because where I was going with it actually was during and still I suppose a little bit now, if you get free LFD tests from COVID testing, you can ring 119 and they'll put you through to a specialist team that will help you go through your COVID test. And
she's just raised her hand, but if she wants to question, she's going to chat.
And I think that's really important, because COVID is still around. I mean, we might have been all boosted, but my wife got COVID a couple of weeks ago and has been quite ill. So it's still out there, and I think it's great that that the NHS has realised that it might be okay if you've got fairly good sight to take a to take a test, but if you haven't got much sight at all, it can be very challenging, can't it?
It can, absolutely. So I know that the Macular Society, alongside RNIB and Thomas Podlington Trust, work very closely with the UK what's it called, Health Security Agency of all
Yeah.
things, to get Be My Eyes up and running for blind and partially sighted people, which is absolutely marvelous. The other thing that you talked about, someone has got to put their hand up. If you could put your question in the chat, that would be really cool. If you're able to do that, the other thing that's really cool is you mentioned, as I've always said for many years, that assistive technology is not always about computers or high-tech stuff. Low-tech stuff is brilliant, isn't it?
Low tech stuff is wonderful. You know, everybody thinks I need to spend lots of money, but actually, I'll give you an example. One of my friends, she's done something to her leg. She's had to have it operated on, and she needed something to help her put her socks on. There's a bit of plastic and with a bit of wood and a bit of metal that can help her get her socks on. That's really low tech.
Absolutely. And for people with macular disease, obviously we have, especially at the beginning when your vision hasn't progressed that far.
Yep.
Just maybe changing your color paper to yellow and just using a
Sure.
thicker fiber tip pen.
Yep.
Can really be beneficial right at the beginning, because that black on yellow with that nice crisp edge on a fiber tip pen can really make things stand out. So and obviously as your vision, hopefully it doesn't, but if it does get a little worse, you can actually start upping the thickness of the fiber tip pen ever so slightly, so you can still keep seeing it. But these are really cheap options.
Sure. And I think the good thing about it is that they're quite easy to get. I mean, you've just got to go into a local stationery store or Smith's or wherever.
Yeah.
You know, but some of the assistive technology is a bit more complicated, and you're just thinking, is it going to work for me? So actually, using assistive technology sometimes can be a real leap of faith, because you're helping so much that it's going to help you, aren't you?
You are. It is. It's, and I think one of the good things about obviously the Macular Society is we've got lots of groups. That you can go and have a chat about some of this stuff within the groups dotted around the country, and also along with AbilityNet, you guys, we all also have our own Connect by Tech service. So you can ring us up, and we'll give you a bit of hand over the phone as well. So the other thing you talked about, which, and I mean, seeing AI is amazing. It's an amazing. I always call it like a bit like a Swiss Army knife of assistive tech.
Sure.
Because there's so much on there. There's the thing called short text.
Yep.
Which is what you can hold it up to maybe a sign and it will just read it out to you. It's quite amazing. I sat on a train once at a station. And I got a bit distracted because I was listening to a book, I think, or I should have been doing some work probably, but I was listening to a book, and I held my phone up out of the window, and it read the station out, and we were miles away from the other platform, so it works quite a long distance. It's very clever.
And also one of the things I like about seeing AI is that it will read barcodes. So for example, I had a bag of crisps, and I was just really interested to see if it would tell me what flavor they were, and tell me what the brand was, and what the flavor was as well.
Yeah. Can you, 2 seconds? Can you just check my inbox as Elaine's emailed? Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. So taking that one step further, right? This is a new update, so this might even be shiny new for you as well, Alex. So on Seeing AI, one of the other options is product. It's called product, and you can scan a barcode, and it will tell you what that product is. All right, based on the barcode. Now, one of the new on this latest update for Seeing AI, If you flick to the right, and people, voiceover users will know what that means, and basically you flick your finger across the screen to the button that says more information, and then double tap it, it will tell you more about the product and also the cooking instructions.
Wow.
So it does it. I'm
Alexander
sure.
Charles Barker,
I'm,
1 Molesworth
I'm sure.
Avenue.
I'm sure.
Coventry.
I'm sure it's not going to work for all of it, every product at the moment. But I think it's a very new thing. I only found out about it about 3 days ago. I tried it. I like really random coffee, really nice coffee, and I scanned the barcode, and even on my random jar of coffee, it told me how many spoonfuls of coffee to put in for the best flavor. So that's hot off the press. That is latest. That is.
Actually, that is so useful because it's great telling you it's coffee, but if it doesn't actually tell you how to serve it,
Yeah.
The technology is only doing half the job, isn't it?
It is. So I think these things, as you said within your chat, everything is evolving. So it's really worth keeping up on that.
And
yeah.
And I,
A glitch with the chat, but it's now accessible.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So the chat is now working a bit more better. That's really bad English. Really more.
a bit better.
Yeah, a bit better. Okay. So have we got some questions come through, Jen?
Not yet.
No.
Just like, but there's one
Right.
And I think this is
Yeah.
I worked in assistive technology for most of my life, and I think it's great because there's always something new coming along. Years ago, my first computer was a BBC B, and it had 32K of RAM.
Yes.
So now I probably got, I don't know how much RAM I've got in my iPhone, but it just shows in like 20 or 30 years how things have moved on.
It's 4 gigabytes you got in your.
Yeah, yeah.
It's yeah, things are amazing. I mean, I always talk about my iPad as I don't know how I lived without it. I mean, I do everything on my iPad, read my books and do my banking and even do my shopping and everything. I do, I even buy my clothes on my iPad, get them sent to me, try them on. If I don't like them, send them back. So the other thing that you mentioned, which I think is really, really good for smart technology,
Yep.
Especially for blind and partially sighted people or people with macular disease, is who we support.
Yep.
Is the thermostat.
Sure.
I've never been able to control my thermostat, and now with an app on my phone or even through Alexa, I'm able to get my thermos, set my heating. And I thought you did have a question. Yes. I think it is. Alex, you'll probably know better than I. Is this from Gino, by the way? So I work evening, Gino. Is Be My Eyes available 24/7?
Be My Eyes is available 24/7. You thankfully don't get a ringtone and going, Be My Eyes is closed, ring back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because actually it might be really, really important. So the way that Be My Eyes works is that you mark yourself as being available to take a call. So you could be in California, you could be in Australia, you could be in South Africa. There are volunteers all over the place.
Yeah. And it's safe, isn't it? Because that you don't, even though you do speak to them, they can't see you. You can't sit.
Sure.
So
yeah.
So it's a really safe thing to do. I would really advise not putting letters and things on Be My Eyes unless you're using one of their specialist services, which you can do. But it is it's a brilliant service, really is.
I think to be honest, if you're scanning letters, I would probably use Seeing AI instead. But I mean, there are a number of other apps. So, for example, there's the Envision app and there's the Envision smart glasses.
Yeah.
So there are a number of products on the market.
So the downside of seeing AI, isn't it, is it's only available on iOS. So if you've got
Yeah.
an Android device,
Yeah.
Envision AI, which is what
Yeah.
Alex has just mentioned, is a similar product. It works as well, but it's not completely free. There are some bits that you have to pay for, whereas seeing AI is completely free. So and it's owned by Microsoft. I nearly fell off the floor when I found that out years ago. So it's it's a good both things are available. What was the other thing I was going to say? So I mean, you talked about a coffee maker
Yep.
being I mean, we all like posh coffee makers, but there's assisted technology to help you cook. So there's talking prongs. So we all know our meat needs to be cooked to a certain temperature. So it all needs to be cooked to a certain temperature. So these prongs, you just prong your food and it will speak out the temperature within the food. So, you know, it's, and these are very inexpensive bits of kit, you know. So, you know, I think people should use them for their barbecues, if I'm honest. But it's, that's,
And there are also devices like talking microwaves, aren't there?
okay, yeah. I do a whole bit about talking microwaves in my stand-up routine, but they're very clever. They're loud. That's the only problem. That's where they come through in my stand-up routine.
I can always imagine a talking microwave going, "Curry for one again." You really need to be trying something else, you know.
Yeah.
But
It's
anyway.
like, yeah, no, it's true. I never make coffee in a microwave. Good grief.
So there's another point. I use Lookout on Android, which is free.
Yeah.
Also tried seeing AI on my iPad. I think looking at Lookout is the best for me, and that's from Marilyn. No, you know what? As I said with biscuits, no one is. That's my Apple Watch talking. No one says that their product is best for everyone. You've got to try it out, and then you've got to say this product works for me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I don't agree about the biscuits, by the way. Custard creams all the way, but
Okay.
but the just you know, bourbons are just so boring. You know, just brown with dots on. I mean, come on. So it's no proper decision is ever made being shared over a bourbon. I'm just saying. It's it's a passion of mine. Okay, you can tell. Anyway, the other thing to know about seeing AI, just to point this out, because was it Marilyn pointed? I said it doesn't work very well on an iPad. It's designed for it's designed for the iPhone, and it works very nicely on an iPhone, but not so well on an iPad. I've heard this in the past, so just be aware of that. And I've heard that Lookout is very good actually. So yeah,
I just wonder if it doesn't work that well on an iPad, because actually the camera on an iPad isn't that great. I mean, for example, I've got an iPhone 13, so at one time I did have the latest iPhone. I haven't got it now, but I think my camera is something like 13 or 14 megapixels, so it's not a bad, you know, amount. I think on an iPad the camera is half as good as it is on an iPhone.
I think that is part of the problem. What else was I going to mention? Oh yes, I was talking about the kettles and things there. So for a few years, I mean, I didn't use them very long because I do tend to drink black coffee. But I always used to use a mug that was white on the inside, so I could see the color difference between the coffee and which is, you know, is funny enough, it's a white mug, but it's assisted technology because of the way that I was using it. I know that sounds a bit peculiar. But now I bought myself a coffee, not a coffee dispenser, but a hot water dispenser. So it's not one of those posh ones that's built into the sink, but it's just the same size as a standard kettle. And you just you fill it up with water, obviously hit go, and it pours out enough into a mug of just water. So I don't actually have to pick up a heavy kettle. try and pour it into the hot water into the mug. So and it means that I mean, I like liquid level indicators, but for me, when I used to use them years ago, they always used to break, or used to, they're a lot more strong now. But for me, I think coffee dispenser, because especially for some, if you're a bit older as well, I'm not a bit older, but I know that other people use this, they're a little bit older, because all you have to do is you're filling a kettle up with cold water and hitting a button and putting a cup underneath, so you're not actually physically having to touch hot water. So there's so many advancements now. And this all stuff is inexpensive. I mean, that coffee dispenser is about 35. A hot water dispenser is about 35 quid, which is the price of a decent kettle.
And it's all about maintaining your independence, isn't it, as well?
Absolutely. So it's really. I mean, I can talk about this stuff for hours, because there's just so many hints and tricks and tips that I've been told about and found out myself over the years, just because of my own sight loss. So it's I have to say this, Alex, because we at the Macular Society talk an awful lot about magnifiers, obviously.
Yep.
Because we have a lot of people that may be slightly older, that start using magnifiers to, handheld magnifiers, nothing digital.
Sure.
But we always advise to get assessed for the right magnifier. Would you agree with that?
No, I would always say that if you can get assessed, go and get assessed, because if you take, I mean, I was looking at the page of magnifiers earlier today, and one was £75 and one was £45 and one was like £110, and they're thinking, which one's going to be right for me? I mean, okay, you go, is the most expensive one the best one? Of course it doesn't quite work like that.
Yeah.
But you've just got to work out with someone who's got more experience what device is going to be right for you. So get assessed if you can.
Absolutely. And you can have that. You should be getting that done at an eye clinic. These things called low vision assessments. So you go for an eye appointment at the eye clinic at the hospital, and they measure what's wrong with your eyes and tell you what's wrong with your eyes. But on the other side of that, you still hopefully have some vision left. So there's these things called low vision assessments, which talk about that your functional bit, the bit that you still have left, and how to enhance that. So they'll assess you for glasses, TV glasses, magnifiers, lighting, all that sort of stuff, and they'll actually give you some of it for free. So it's well worth, if you go to the eye clinic and you're not being offered a low vision assessment, to really ask your consultant or the registrar or even the clinical nurse practitioner who's doing your eye injection, how do I get a low vision assessment through the hospital? Some of those have been passed out now into contracts for local societies, people like I think Kent Society, at the Partially Sighted Society, and there's one in Surrey as well. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But these are contracts are funded through the NHS, through local societies. So it's even on your doorstep. So make sure.
And the other thing that I would say with local societies is they can probably help give you peer support as well, and it's always really, really good if you've got any sort of disability to talk to people, because they've got a lived experience, and the lived experience is vital in giving you a better understanding of what your condition is going to be like.
Absolutely. I think you can't beat talking to people about the condition you have, because people will be a little further along, maybe progress a little further along with their vision, and so it's pointless reinventing the wheel, basically. So someone might already just give you a bit of a tip or a hint to let you know sort of way of getting around a problem. Color contrast is our friend, big, bold, and bright. But you know what? I think this has been a really good session. So you've given us a really good talk and an overview. So we'll pop this on our usual on the old YouTube channel and website, along with all the others. So I don't think we've had very few questions. We had a bit of a problem with the chat, which seems to be the way with Zoom at the moment. Won't find out what's going on. But we shall. I do know what's going on actually. When you start your meeting, you've got to turn chat on for everybody, but sometimes it doesn't work. So you have to do it twice, but you don't know that while your presenter's still talking. So anyway, well, really, Alex, it's thank you for giving up part of your evening.
No problem at all.
I hope that you're not in too much trouble for upsetting the gas man.
Yeah.
And I still think you're wrong about the bourbon biscuits, but thanks very much for coming.
And you know what? I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to find something and I'm going to try the barcode reader and see what happens.
Okay, perfect. Right.
Cool.
Well, brilliant. Well, this is the last, not the last one. We've got one more webinar for this year on the last Thursday in November. With Professor Andrew Lotery from Southampton University Hospital. I keep moving him, he'll be very upset. Southampton University Hospital, talking about a very, very rare condition. So hopefully we'll get a few virtual bums on seats for that. Anyway, thank you as usual for joining. Jess, thanks for keeping an eye on all the good. And that's it for the evening. I'm off for my glass of wine as usual. So thanks for everybody and good night.
Bye.